Hi folks, so it's my third time doing this game online. Uh, Live coding this game. It's called Jumping Thieves. Uh, if you didn't watch the last episode, I start to use the entity component system in my in my game, so we can have some objects or enemies, whatever you want to call those things, and they kind of go through their own paths. And we also have a player controlled by mouse input. And it's the same deal. If you can hear me, then type something on the chat. Also, if you don't know, I am also doing a streaming of retracing CPU retracing in OCaml on every Sunday. It will be a bit faster paced than this one because I am following a book, so I know what I am talking about. And for this one, I'm just unorganized live coding. Okay, let's start. So today the purpose is to implement a tile map, so we can have some background map for our game. And I find this image tile set image online. I think it's like good enough for me. It is really hard to find game assets that can work for open sources. Even if you buy them, most of them have license that excludes the use of open source, so it's really hard to find a good asset. But here I find one. I will copy it into our game folder. Now we have this image. Now let's start. First, we have this load texture function. As I said last time, I want to make this function somewhere else instead of in this game folder. So let's do this really quick. We create a new file called texture and just copy and paste this in here. It should be no discard. And we need to include OpenGL and STB image. It's enough to put it in the source file. This OpenGL.hpp is like just a wrapper around. If it's web, includes this file. Otherwise, include this file. Also doing some like macro, because OpenGL ES don't have those two functions. And we still need FMT. I think we're good. Oh, we run. So we're good. Now the thing is, we don't want to use the whole texture of this tile set. We only, every time when we render something, we only want to use a tiny bit, like this or this. I think this one is like 32 times 8, so it's like it have 8 times something as width and height. So to make it more convenient, we better to find some way to like cache this width and height variable. So at least we know the width and height of the image, and then dividing by 32, we will get the result of like how many different tiles we have per row, for example. So let's quickly create a struct texture. Width, height, and ID. Now we may fail to load texture, so we need to address that. Sorry, I'm bad English. I have this of my own optional. C++ standard, the library also have its optional, but this optional add a few stuff to it. It is based on a library called TL optional, which add monadic extension, and I also add some other utility functions. So basically just make my life easier. If we cannot load texture, we just return nothing. If we can load the texture, we return a texture of width. It's quite unfortunate we need to do this kind of sign and unsigned cast. That's to make the thing we want to work better with like standard continuous. For example, I'd rather use unsigned type. Also, I just think it makes more sense to use unsigned type for those kind of stuff. You may have different opinions. Now we have this load texture function that will return nothing if we cannot load the texture, and return the actual texture if it has the texture. Here we can say we can no longer see this because our texture is no longer integer. And this is what I talk about monadic extensions, which works quite well with optional. What is this? No matter functions. I think. Let's see if this can compile. I think it can, because CLine have a. It seems CLine has a problem with this type. I don't know why, but the code compiles fine on all the platform I tested. Yeah, it is fine. Just sorry, CLine, you have a bug. And I don't even know what bug that is to report that. So now we have this texture class. We have this kind of load texture. In OpenGL, you can actually delete a texture. We will not do that. Now will I make this class, this structure RAI wrapper. I will just leave it this way and let it leak, because we will just load all the texture as upfront and it doesn't matter that much. If later there is need, then I will add them later, but I don't think so. So we also have those bind texture stuff, which would be nice if we just have bind function here. No one on the chat? Well, if you cannot hear something, then please tell me, because then I am just talking to air or something. Not make it constant is not for now. I don't think those effect or functions should be constant, but it's kind of ambiguous because they don't change the texture class either, or texture struct. Looks nice. We don't have GL bind here. Okay. We have GL bind here. Yeah, I will ignore that for now. Now it's actually time to create our tile map. So now we have a Tilemap class. Let's consider what should be in it. We should have a vector of the type of the tile. What do I mean by types? So it's just a metadata of the tile. Like in our case, we definitely need textual coordinate. But we can also have other stuff later, like those player cannot touch this block, but player can work on those blocks, so stuff like that. And we need an array of actual tiles. Need tile x count. A good number for that. Let's say 50. Why can't let's say it's 40? Those are static data. So the idea is we have a 32 by 32 tile, and we have 50 tile in a row and 40 rows. So I probably need to adjust the window a little bit. This is our window. It's okay. Probably shouldn't do that. I should instead like make some, just not hard code that, but instead make some like global variable, global constants to hold those stuff, and then I don't need to do that, but I think it's fine now. We have array of array. Inside array, we just store index to the tile types. So currently, we are not using any dynamic allocation for the tiles. We do use dynamic allocation for tile types. Later, all those later may change. It's just the current status, just how I think about the problem. Also, we need a texture. That's some nice feature of C-Lion. So this become very long, this thing. So I never want to type it again. So deco type in C++ basically means get the type of this variable. It's kind of reflection, but that's probably the only reflection ability C++ have now without using templates. So that's why people are still trying to pursue the reflection TS and stuff, because we do want more of those kind of features. What? Tile type? Let's change this name to tile type. Yeah, it's tile types. It should be. Why it's still red? It must be static. Okay. So this is probably bad because we copy the whole array, because there's no way to move an array. Array is compact representation in memory. That's probably not what we want, but I will just leave it this way until we find there's a performance problem, and then we can fix that if we want. I think. Yeah, I think that's good enough. And let's create a factory function to actually generate this tile map. create tilemap. What am I doing? So tilemap needs all those three stuff. We can hard code this for now. Just as we said, that's index into tile types. No, that's two verbose. Let's just keep it this way, make it like default initialized. We should default initialize in here. And then mutate its value. So for texture, what we can do is load texture file path assets, images, and this. And it returns an optional instead of actually value. Is the value or a default texture? Default texture is basically like ID 0, and OpenGL no, it means like we are not storing any meaningful stuff. Just in case we cannot load the texture. That's it. Later we want to get this from a file, but currently we just hard code the tile grid. Also, what texture we were using will also from a file. The tile types will also from a file. So everything is from a file, basically. Also, we need the information in texture to generate tile types. But that's for later. I think that's good now. We don't need to worry about app. Inside game, we need a new file, a new field called Tilemap. Both Tilemap and texture should not be in this game class, but currently it's just here for convenience. So everything still compiles. No. Attribute ignored. And we don't even need friend here. We don't need explicit here. Yeah, good. Now we can render. So I definitely want to make render a friend function instead of member function, because I don't think render is part of the tilemap interface. Map don't know how to render itself, or I should say. And if it's do, then we have a problem. sometimes it's really hard if we have this kind of system, everything know how to draw itself, and really hard to refactor. Instead, like more like functional, free function style, it's easier to use. We do need sprite render. So render with a texture, and what else? Destination and textual coordinate. Let's first do something really dumb just to see everything works so far. So our image dimensions are 256 times 2240. Or better, we can use the width and height here that we read from the image. Now we should just draw the whole. Yeah. Also, we haven't ever actually called this function yet, so nothing will show up. Render. Now we do have this texture, but things become black for those where we want transparency. Let's fix it in the shader. Fragment shader. So this will not discard pixels, I say. Even if its alpha channel is 0. Good to know. Uh-oh. What's wrong? Nah. Yeah, now we fix the transparency issue, and everything just looks perfect. Now the next step is, instead of rendering the whole thing, we just want to render the size of one grid, but I guess without this tile type we cannot do it, so let's quickly do this tile type. For height, let's call it y. Like, spell it wrong, right? Also spell height. Yeah. Sorry about that. Why cannot pass equal private? Because it's not a friend, so hello, friend is back. So this double for loop is basically like for all of those tiles on this map, like this, etc. And we need to find the textual coordinate. First, let's reserve some space. It's texture dot width divided by texture width, tile width. This kind of reserve just makes the code a little bit faster, so like every pushback, we know we have enough space, so branch predictor will be much happier. Now for the textual coordinates, for basically convert stuff from image space into the texture space. Like 32 here, what we actually want in the texture space is 32 divided by this whole width, which is 256. So we get 1/8 as a result. Because texture coordinate is from 0 to 1. Now we have a bunch of, let's add a dummy text tile type just for a tile that contains nothing. And if our index is 0, then it is dummy. Now let's do something with these tiles. Tiles 0, 0 will be 1. So at least we can see something if we do everything correctly. Now for the texture coordinates, we can do tile we can actually use nah. And for the width and height, what we want is 32, which is tile width divided by its texture, not width. We need to repeatedly access that, so let's do this. Width and height. This one is redundant. Okay, let's see what we get. Nothing. Oh. Those should be tile width and tile height. Yeah, see our little tree here. Because we are doing tiles 0, 0 equal to 1, which is so 0, 0 grid at 0, 0 have this type of 1. And since we add a dummy, so 1 is the first tile on the tile set, so it's this one. And then it's just like this. Then we are rendering this 0, 0. Now let's make the whole thing a for loop so we can render everything. We need to loop through x and y again. Notice I always loop y outside of x because our grid is stored in this row major order, so the the inner circle are rows and the outer circles are like the whole image, so that's the correct order for the caches. X, Y. Then we need to set the location. Location of the tile should be at Maybe I should make like two float function. Static cast is a bit verbose. Uh-oh. That definitely shouldn't happen. What am I doing wrong? I'm accessing the tile types that don't exist. It seems. Why initialized everything properly? So it's here. It should be here. When we see the tile type ID, it's from these tiles. This tiles is from these tiles. This tiles is initialized properly. What's the problem? This thing is. Let me try again. Okay. I really don't want to do on-screen debug, but that's just life. And yeah, with this style of double for loop, it's easy to have this kind of problems. X is 41. X is 41. Wait. Ah. Okay. Where's our. Yeah. I guess for preventing future problem, I will do this. Just add will do some sanity check, unlike the unchecked. But it's also a bit slower, but thanks to. Wait, what? We only have. Why we have this repeat pattern? We only have one tiles have a value which is like 0. Text. I still don't know why we have multiple. Yeah, but why everything is like this tree when we have 0? I think we bind to the texture we don't want. So let's add a quick sanity check for that. Yeah, nice. So we have Tilemap implemented, kind of. later I will definitely make, I think maybe it's next week, I will make this thing like import from JSON, and then we can use some like tile editor, yeah, something like this. Even though this thing doesn't compile on my, well, it's, I don't know, it just doesn't have a pre-built binary for my Linux distribution, so I need to compile it on my own and see what's going on. And then I can look at what's the file format this editor output, and then read it in here to generate our tile set and tile map. And also this tile type thing actually belong to tile set, not tile map. Also texture is actually belong to tile set. But currently I will just leave it this way. Later, if we need multiple tile maps share tile set, then we need to change. Also this kind of for loop. If I have two functions using these for loops, then it's time, I think then it will be time to refactor this into something proper. But for now, I will just leave it here. And what else I want to do today? I have Tilemap implemented. Let's do a quick track. It's compile. No, not happy with this. Do no discard. I think if we have no discard outside, that's good enough. It's good. So because we are actually targeting the browser, and the desktop is just a platform easier to debugging, so we will check it on the browser. It looks nice. This window is a bit too large for the browser, so later we probably want something more dynamic than this. Then those fixed numbers, but now I will just leave fixed numbers. Still too large? Is it even changed? I think so, it's just too large. Wait. Yeah, later I will change this. We definitely want a game world to be large, to be even larger than this. But then we can have a we can have a map that we can scroll into when we move the character instead of just statically on the screen. At that stage, I will change this setting. Now, last thing I want to do is a quick refactoring to make this constant into their proper space. We probably will not need those two later. Because it will be dynamic, but currently let's just leave it this way. constant here. For the time, also for app. We don't need those two anymore. We don't even need this here. We can put it into here. For the projection matrix, we also need width and height. It looks nice enough. We can, if you want, we can like mess around with this to add a lot of stuff. Ah, this is useless. What? I can only see the first row. Am I still doing something wrong here? Textual coordinate should be okay, otherwise we cannot see anything. Why? Is it too large? No. Wait. I don't know what is wrong here. But enter our friend render doc. I'm on the release build now. Probably should on the debug. Just forget. It looks fine. What? Brushes? Without actually. Yeah. You can see this ridiculous amount of draw cost. That's definitely something we need to fix later. Just the performance will be insane. But currently, So it's not I am getting numbers wrong. Tile type ID. Yeah, but what's going on here? Sorry, I'm dumb. Sorry about this. Yeah. Now everything looks good. Now, last time I didn't upload until very late because I forget. Now before end of stream, I will just do a quick update. Implements Tilemap. Boom. Okay, alright everyone. Thanks for watching and see you next week.